YouTube, what's going on? It's your host, always aiming. Thanks for stopping by the channel. Today we have another episode of the Gunners Podcast. This is episode 2. Before I get into it, please help the channel out by comment, subscribing, and hitting the notification bell so you can stay tuned in to all my latest updates on my channel and the podcast. Today's episode, I want to discuss the pretty talked about topic in the gun community now. A little bit of controversial, but I want to talk about SIG and the big old SIG, the big controversy and just my thoughts and opinions about SIG. So before I get into it, I've never owned a SIG, okay, but the SIG M18/M17, either or, that is one of my favorite pistols. I've yet to purchase it because it's like, and I guess that's the reason we're going to get into further in the video, but it's always something that stops me from buying it. Cause I'm just not sure if I can, if I would prefer it over my other favorite FDE firearm, from that military, trial, which was the Glock 19X. Now, in my opinion, I definitely believe that the Glock 19X is a superior platform compared to the M18/M17. But we all know that SIG, they won the trial because of monetary reasons. They offered their M18/M17 pistol to the military during the trials at a cheaper price point than the Glock 19X and the Beretta and everyone else that competed. But it was pretty much a logistics thing. But normally within the trials of as far as selecting a new pistol and stuff like that, they usually do a very vigorous test. I'm not sure the exact specifics, but it's pretty much all summed up to be like shooting, a very large amount of rounds to see which firearm platform has the least amount of stoppages, different little environmental tests and stuff like that, maybe hot, cold temperatures, maybe mud tests or water, stuff like that. But, for this trials, they didn't, the SIG didn't perform, the M18, M17 didn't perform the best, actually. So it didn't win the contract based on merits of the fact that it was a more reliable platform. Normally that's how it goes. Like when we switched from the, the SIG EP.2 or like the 1911 to the Beretta, stuff like that. The Beretta won because it performed the best overall in the various different testing phases. Okay, but for the M18 contract, SIG absolutely did not perform the best. Glock, as we all know, performed very well. I'm not sure who exactly performed the best. I believe it may have been Glock, but Glock is a vastly superior. The Glock 19X is a vastly superior platform compared to the M18 and the M17, from a military duty use standpoint. Okay, and other than logistics, the whole point of the M18 program was they wanted something modular. Okay, so even though Glock had the best performance, stuff like that, but they didn't meet the modularity aspect of it. And obviously the SIG being, having a fire control unit, which can be taken out, because the fire control unit in the SIG, P320 series, I'm not sure if all SIGs like that, but the M18, M17, and a lot of SIGs, they have a fire control unit, which is the actual serialized portion of the firearm. Unlike most other firearm platforms where the lower receiver it is the lower or upper, mostly it's the lower receiver, but some firearms have it on the upper, like the FN Scar, for example, has the serialized portion on the upper receiver. But basically, you can take that serialized portion out of the SIG M18 and pop it in a M17 frame and go from a big grip to a small grip and change the whole platform out. So they won based on the modularity. And yes, I will give them that. It's definitely more modular than a Glock. A little bit more easier and just different variations, okay? But so yeah, I just want to give you some context on that. I absolutely loved M18, M17, and I do I will say that SIG absolutely. Now, before I even get into that, I also want to cut myself off and say this, okay? I'm only speaking on this from a handgun, like pistol caliber handgun aspect. I'm not including rifles and shotguns or anything like that that SIG may make, because I actually do like some of their rifles. But as far as just the brand in general and a more spotlight on the handgun, pistol caliber handgun aspect of it, SIG makes a very beautiful handgun. I will say that. They're some of the most prettiest. FN is my favorite. I'm a FDE man. I love FN products, and specifically my favorite color wave is FDE. I think FN makes the best FDE color wave. Their FDE just looks amazing. But next to that, SIG they make a pretty gun. Even not FDE. I love the way SIG looks. Now, like I said, I've never owned one, never shot one before, but I always wanted a SIG, and every opportunity I get to buy the M18 or the M17, that's one of my dream pistols that I want. And it's not so much of more on the percentage of being a part of my arsenal, which mostly all of my guns that I purchase is on that side of the fence where they're actually a part of my arsenal and I will actually use them and have a use for them versus just a piece of history or collection. But certain firearms kind of scratch both itches. The M18, M17 does that for me, but every time I had the means to get it and okay, I'm about to get it now. All right, couple $100 away, and I always end up getting something else. Like the last time when I had it locked in my mind that I was going to get a FDE pistol at the time when I bought my 19X previously on the Always Aiming channel. Before I got the 19X, I was debating on, okay, should I get the M18 or the M17 or the 19X? And I was just going back and forth in my head, just different reviews, watching different videos, and I will say the M18, M17 is prettier to me than the 19X. Like it just looks amazing. But from an arsenal aspect and like which one would I actually trust, and being as though I didn't have enough, to buy both of them at once. I didn't feel like obviously I could have did that, but I didn't feel like waiting. I specifically wanted to buy me a pistol right now. Just one, and just get that process started. Because in the state I live in, we have to wait 7 days just to be able to take the firearm home from the FFL. Okay, so if your firearm gets delivered from the manufacturer or the website wherever you order from, and it gets to the FFL on a Monday, they'll call you. You'll go up to the FFL. You'll fill out various paperwork, and then then your 7-day wait started. And actually, if you started on a Monday, it's so stupid. If you start it on a Monday, it actually turns to 8 days. Then your paperwork doesn't get approved to the 8th day, which will be Tuesday. But any other day, like if you start that 7-day process on a Tuesday through Saturday, it'll be exactly 7 days from then. So if you start a Tuesday, it'll be next Tuesday and you'll be able to pick it up. But I'm just letting you know that just to give you some more context, because sometimes that has a lot of context behind my decision making on how many pistols I want to buy at once or which one, because most of the time it's more of like, okay, I'm going to get both of them within this month or eventually soon, because that's what I'm aspiring to get. I'm making a goal to get it. But I do it in like a pecking order. So I'm only going to get one each week or one each month or, situation like that. So I was having to decide, should I get the M19X? Should I get the Glock 19X or should I go ahead and get the M18 and 17? So I had to choose Glock all day. But, so moving on from there, other than the M18 and the M17, I kind of do like the P365 a little bit. I would say probably in the FDE, but SIG to me in general, looking back on all the research I've done and the controversy I've been hearing and looking into it all. Okay, we all know that the P320 has its drop issues, and that just leaves a bad taste in my mouth when it comes to SIG, and which is another reason why it just always prevents me from pulling the trigger on the M18 and M17. Is like, I don't want to get this over something else that I know would definitely be a part of the arsenal, and then I get this and it doesn't, it isn't as reliable. It doesn't fill that void for the arsenal, for that purpose built pistol that I'm getting. It doesn't fill that role like it's supposed to. And it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Like, SIG they have military contracts, okay? And that pretty much alone, having a military / police history with firearm manufacturers, us as gun enthusiasts and as the consumers, that pretty much helps us to determine the pecking order of the manufacturer as far as their tier level. Okay, I'm not gonna put like anything that has military history or police history. They're gonna always be on a higher tier level than a manufacturer that doesn't have any history of that at all. You get what I'm saying? Even if they do make a very decent, high quality firearm, it just is what it is. Like, it's just something about, at least for me, that's how I determine it, and what I see for the most part within the community, that we just aspire to be like the military. It's just, like I said, especially for me, I love military firearms, like cloning military builds and getting what they got and stuff like that. I just think it's cool, and just seeing that part of history, and that's just what I'm into. Okay. But so with that being said, like, SIG overall as a company, they have such a great potential, and I like, when I hear the name SIG, it they don't give off like a budget brand or something like that. I'm not going to give them well, being more specific in the pistol caliber handgun realm. Okay, like I said, not including rifles, because it'll be more confusing to talk about this topic, but just talking about handguns alone, pistol caliber handguns. Okay, SIG is definitely far from a budget. They're in a higher echelon of the tier level of semi-automatic striker-fired handguns. Okay, they're above Glock, and as far as a consumer aspect. Now, obviously, on a functionality aspect, they don't beat Glock in that realm. But as a consumer, like how pretty the gun is, and the cost of it, and just what it, how the cool factor, I guess, SIG is definitely past Glock on that aspect. It's like you got your Tauruses, your $200, $300, your $200-$300 stuff like that, like your Tauruses, maybe a lot of those micro 380s and stuff like that. Anything below that will be like high point pistols, and you got the palmetto daggers, which are kind of be on the same tier level as the Taurus, and Stogers and stuff around that 350-ish. And then moving on from there, then you'll get on, and also Smith and Wesson kind of bounces. Certain Smith and Wesson models can bounce back and forth between that Taurus 300-ish tier level to the 400, 450, because they got a different a lot of different models. But then a step up from that would, then you have your Glocks. Okay, you got your Glocks, you got your MMPs, specifically the MMP line of the Smith & Wesson. Like the Smith & Wesson, just the normal like SD9s and stuff like that. Again, that's like your Taurus level. Okay, I would say that's a slight bit like a 0.5 above Taurus, that tier level. But then you got your Glocks, you got your MMPs, you know, and then a step right above that would be, okay, Canics will fall in that category as well. And I'm not naming everybody, just giving you a few examples of what I view the pistol caliber handgun tier levels are as. So moving on from the Glocks, which would be your 500-ish, 600-ish marks. Then you would have your FNs, which at the lows might give you low 5, 6, 7, 800, depending on the model. You got your SIGs and your FNs, okay? So SIG to me is like how I look at FN. It's like if I was an actual dedicated SIG fan, like I am an FN fan, then I would be very excited and very proud of each product I have from the manufacturer. Like, so I don't view SIG as just some knockoff brand or some, you know, I view them as a top tier pistol caliber handgun brand. Like they should, I expect a premium product. The cool factor is there, everything, you know, so, but the fact that, again, that's the tier level for me, the pecking order, and I'm just going to stop there. Obviously you have things higher than that. I'm not going to really get into that. You got competition guns that get a little higher than that, custom guns. You got your Beretta, which will be the next step above that, like your, the Berettas, the ones that the military had. Those, I see those for like, I don't remember the model name. I've actually been looking at one of those. I want to get one of those soon. But, I see those for like $1,000 MSRP. You got your 2011s, you know, obviously. So, but the video isn't about all of the pistol caliber manufacturers, but, just giving you some context on the SIG and how I view them. So, moving on. So the fact that SIG, and I believe I'm speaking for a lot of people when I say SIG, as far as the tier level that they are, like how you view them when you think about buying a SIG handgun. So, but the fact that when you actually look at the details of the brand and of the firearm, they just don't back it up, man. They just don't have the track history to back it up, and that's just so disappointing to me. Like, they keep, for one, they spread themselves so thin to be that powerful and that big of a company and well known of a brand and just highly favored and highly praised of a brand. How can you have such just bad quality control and just controversy left and right? It's just crazy. They spread themselves very thin. It's like every other week it's a new P365 variation or P320 variation. Okay. They didn't fix the first one that got released, because if you look at the history of the, like the P365, for example, when it came out, had a lot of issues. Okay. Now I'm sure they fix it. They fixed issues as of now, as the date of the day of watching this video. They fixed a lot of those issues, which we would expect from a million dollar, industry, manufacturer. But, they're just known for that. And it's just not just like one thing. It's like a lot of guns that they make just comes out the door having issues, like as if nobody tested these guns. I think the P365 had what it have? I think a striker, no, not striker, maybe an extractor or something issue, or ejector. I'm not sure the exact issue, but I was just watching a video about it actually, and I heard someone talking about it, about the issues with it. I just can't remember the details, but so then we have the P320, okay? The P320, all this controversy about it not being drop safe. And as we all know, the M18/M17 is a variation of the P320. It is a P320 at its core. Okay. It's just been rebranded. But the P320 wasn't drop safe. Now, obviously, we all know about that. It's nothing new. But I never really got into it too much. I was just like, when I first started hearing about it, I was like, maybe just somebody just trying to come up on some money, you know, hey, maybe just a one-time thing or something like that. But no, as of recently, I've dug more deeper into it, and there's a lot of videos out there on YouTube. If I can, I'll do some B-roll or something like that, maybe drop the name of the channel. But there was a video I watched where the guy was doing a drop test on a P320 from SIG, and before I tell you what happened in the video, SIG, well, I'll go ahead and tell you. So he dropped it on the ground from like standard height, I think like waist level, or maybe between waist and shoulder level, something like that. But he dropped it, and he dropped it multiple times, like 5 to 10 times, and it went off multiple times in the video, not just one time. It shouldn't happen at all if it's a once in a blue moon thing, because if it's a once in a blue moon thing, that means there's hundreds of thousands of P320s out there, right? Out in the world, and a once in a blue moon would be like one out of a batch of, you know, 100,000 guns or 50,000 guns, something like that. But for him to have his P320, for us to hear about it, about the drop test thing, and that it failed the drop test, and that it goes off, and whole controversy with people, I guess a police officer or something like shot him in the leg or something like that. Shot his the firearm the firearm discharged on his own, and he shot himself in the leg because of the firearm, not because of him negligently. But for us to hear about that, and then for me to watch a video and just like proves it. Like, it isn't like they dropped it, you know, like let's say they had a batch of 10 SIGs and they dropped them all 100 times and one of them went off, something like that. Okay, maybe it'll hit different, something like that. But nah, man, in that video he dropped that P320 a bunch of times and it went off a bunch of times. Like, out of 5 times, the ratio was like 3 out of 5 times that thing went off damn near every time. And that's just sad. You get what I'm saying? And this video, I'm not sure the date of the video. Yeah, so I'll go ahead and backtrack myself from saying that, because I was going to say that was after the fact that we started hearing about it. But regardless, that don't really matter. At the end of the day, SIG knew about it and they knew what was going on, and he proved it in the video. Okay, obviously the video he made, he had to hear about the drop test stuff going off to want to do the scientific experiment. You get what I'm saying? So either way, it was after the whole controversy of the drop test failure. So, and when I watched that video, and then it just opened my eyes, like, man, do I really want this M18? Because that is a P320 variant. Now, like I said, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, and I'm assuming that current production models, they have fixed it. And especially, I would assume that the whole drop test thing would be a specific situation, only to, I guess, the base model P320, like not necessarily the M18, M17, the ones that went to the military. I'm assuming they fixed that issue and got it completely ironed out. But like, as far as just the regular civilian, I mean, there are M18, M17, you know, the civilian ones that we have. We actually don't have the same M18/M17 that the military have. We have a civilian version. I think theirs is built slightly different. There's ever so slight differences between the civilian ones and the military ones. But regardlessly, they knew about it and they didn't fix it. And I'm assuming that this, just with the base P320 model, like not the actual M18 version of the P320, I haven't necessarily seen anyone have drop test issues with that variant of the P320. So I'll just leave that there. But that definitely leaves a very bad taste in my mouth when it comes to SIG. And further on in the video, they were the guy was discussing just the whole history of the company outside of just the whole drop test thing. And everything he said, which is true when you really think about it and look back on it. For one, SIG isn't the same SIG that paved the way for this, for us to know that, okay, SIG has military contracts, they're a reputable, proven brand, stuff like that, and they've earned this spot on this tier level. Okay, that was the old SIG. The new SIG, which has been bought out by some other company. At this point, they're just the company that owns SIG. They're just a money company. They just own various different brands and companies, even outside of guns. Just anything that makes money. Okay, let's buy it. That brand looks like it makes money. I'll give you X amount of money so I can own that and I can make that money. You get what I'm saying? So someone rich like that bought SIG out, and at that point, that is who SIG is. Okay, SIG now isn't just a dedicated military brand and just so passionate about it, and production and making sure things is reliable and top tier, high quality. Now they're just a money hungry company. You know, they've sold themselves to the elites, I guess, so to speak. So, with that being said, now everything is just a money grab, money scheme, just like hungry vultures. Like they sold for example, the P320, I mean, the M18, M17 that won the the M18 contract, right? They sold them for, I think, somewhere around 230, 250 ish, a pop, right? Each gun. Okay. Now they released it to the public, which is the one that we have access to. The P320, M18, M17 is double the price. You get what I'm saying? Just because they know that it'll make money, because they know that as consumers, we love things that the military have, so we're gonna pay for it just for the nostalgia and just to have what they got, and it's just for that cool factor. But they put a outrageous number on it. That number that we pay for it, that $600, $650, whatever the M18, I believe M18, M17 costs brand new, it's not worth that in the value that you're actually getting with all the problems that the P320 has. And they also try to pull this little slick thing where they say, okay, well, we put the price at this much, pretty much double, if not a little bit more than double the price of what the military buys them for, because there are actual differences between the civilian one and the military, and they basically got exposed from scientific research that there aren't any difference outside of, like, I think, what is the difference? I think it's like an optic difference, like the way the optics mount, something stupid that's like non-mechanical. The way the optics plate or something like that mounts to the military guns is different than the civilian ones we have. Something like that, right? But other than that, they're both mechanically the exact same gun. You get what I'm saying? But they're doubling the price on us just to be money hungry. And as well as going back to the point I said before, as you can see, they're spreading themselves so thin with all of these different variations of P320s and P365s and all kinds of stuff. You got the X Macro, you got the regular P365, you got the X Legion, and all kinds of, I probably said the names wrong, but y'all know what I'm saying. You see it, guys. So, and they're charging, they're aware that we view them as a top tier company. So they're charging us top tier money, so to speak, but not giving us top tier quality and customer service. And we're not even I didn't even get into the customer service. SIG's customer service is horrendous. Like, there are absolutely so many horror stories about SIG's customer service. Like, you can just do your own research on Reddit and look at various forums and topics about SIG, and even, I guess, directly on their website and the forum pages and stuff, and you'll see just the horror stories. But basically, what it summed up, what it all is summed up to is, if you have nine times out of 10, if you have any problems with your SIG product, and this goes for all of their products, not just the pistols, you have a problem, your gun is not functioning right, like brand new out the box, and something is wrong, they will try their best to blame you for it, like you did something wrong, or they'll charge you just for you to send it in for them to look at it and see what's going on. Like, I think they say it's like $50 just to send it in and look at it. On top of the fact that they might have you waiting 3 weeks or a month and a half, a very long time, just to look at it and charge you for that. Again, that's just SIG charging you, not including actually paying to ship it and stuff like that. It's going to be more than $50, but they want their own money just to look at it. So I just imagine if they do find something wrong, they're probably going to charge you for that too. But just generally speaking, just all summed up, right? All of that information, all of that controversy, it just don't sit right. Now, like I said, I'm still on the borderline with it, because yes, I'm aware of all of that, everything I just said, and it does leave a bad taste in my mouth. But it's something about SIG and the cool factor of the SIG that's really appealing to me, that still just make me want to just give them the benefit of the doubt, and I just still love their products. I still want to get an M18, M17. I'm thinking about getting one right now as we speak. I'm not sure yet, but at this point, FN and Glock is the king of the castle here for me. I'm never going to choose any other brand over FN. Like, when it comes to me having a specific budget and saying, okay, I want a new pistol and this is what I want, but then I got a few other ones that I want, but I only can get one, FN is always going to come first every time. And then after that, Glock. Every so often, Glock might come for FN. But if there's an FN pistol that I want, especially if it's an FDE, oh man, I'm getting that. I just bought one recently, actually, so you will be seeing that on the channel soon. Yeah, so I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, and obviously they have their cult-like fanboys. They just turn a blind eye to all the negative things that come with SIG, and and they still just support them. And yes, they are, not just to completely bash them. Yes, they are the ratio of good products that SIG releases, and reliable platforms and stuff that don't happen, the good things. Yeah, it still is a bigger percentage of that than the negative, but that negative percentage is quite large for that tier level, for you to be that tier level. Like, that's something you would expect from Bear Creek Arsenal or something like that. And no disrespect to Bear Creek, but it is what it is from a factual standpoint and historical standpoint. Okay, you would expect just different little controversy and mishaps, but for a company to be at the tier level that SIG's at, and for the legacy that they have, it's just sad. Okay, SIG, you really need to get it together, and that's just sad, man. I mean, you guys, like, right now, you guys got the new where I don't think you actually got it, but the military is looking at adopting the new what is that, the SIG rifle, the FDE one. That thing looks bad. Again, SIG makes a pretty, I love that LT, that one that the military is about to use now. Man, that thing is beautiful. I think it was the XM4 the military calls it, or something like that. It's like a Spirit LT or MCX, something like that variant. But that thing is pretty. But you can't just go off just because you do have good times and a few good military contracts, and it doesn't just end there. It's like, when people say Glocks are boring and they don't innovate a lot, but stuff like that is why I appreciate Glock. I would rather you be boring and only have a very few line of pistols and products that you can fully concentrate on, versus being like SIG and you're spreading yourself so thin that you can't fully focus in on each product to make sure everything is ironed out. I need to pay who I need to pay to test it, drop test, and before I just go release it to the public just to grab money, because people want to buy it just because whether they're the cult following or just the name SIG or it looks pretty. You get what I'm saying? So I just think they need to get it together. But that pretty much concludes my thoughts of SIG, guys. Let me know in the comments anything you've heard about SIG, if you like SIG. Yeah, that'll pretty much wrap up the video, guys. I don't want to keep this video too long. I'm gonna try my best to start to make to not have all of the podcast episodes like hour-long videos. But again, it's a podcast. It's designed to be a listenable. So I don't really like making 5-minute, 10-minute videos. You know, I want this to be something like where you can go on a 20, 30, 40-minute drive and you don't have to keep picking up the phone to click on a new video because the video you watched was so entertaining, was so cool, but it was only 5 minutes. So, yeah, so like, comment, subscribe, guys, and I will see you guys on the next episode of the Gunners Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, and be safe. Till the next time.